Thanks very much, Dr. Imran, and it's a pleasure to be here. Because I'd like to say thank you to you for making this possible, for bringing this to life. Because I know it's been months trying to plan this, and we know how these things work. So you were able to get everybody here, and thank you to everybody, all the amazing speakers that spoke before I did. It's a pleasure to hear everything that you've said. So it's great to be here. And more importantly, thanks to everybody that stayed till the end. It's not always, it's not the best when you're the one that rounds up everything, isn't it? So most of the time people are tired. So bear with me. I know that we were meant to close very soon. But first, I would like to say, of course, thank you to every partner from Punjab to Poonch to the forum itself. I think everybody has been fantastic doing this. I've heard a lot of people talk about different things. So I think, and it's great because you can see the role of empowerment and leadership as well. So what I will do in the next few minutes, it's like Dr. Imran likely pointed out, is just to think about leadership in the 21st century. Because if you look at the world at the moment, we're in a crisis. I always tell people that you always have change. Like Heraclitus would say that the only constant thing in the world is change. But for me, I personally believe that the only constant thing in the world is leadership. Because you need leadership during the times of change. You need effective leaders during this changing periods. And that is why this is very important. That's why we need to empower our women as well. And I like the picture that we put on the flyers. You can see the young ladies there. They're crying for empowerment. They're crying for leadership. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about leadership and what it means. I'll try to be very interactive. I like people to talk, so don't be afraid to use the chat or even talk out. I'll do it in that kind of format. So I'll just try to share a couple of slides. Okay, so like Dr. Imran rightly pointed out, my name is Christian Harrison, and I'm the Professor of Leadership and Enterprise at the University of Greater Manchester. I'm also the Director of the Center for Leadership and Empowerment. I chair different bodies, British Academy of Management, the Academy for African Studies, and all that. So that's my LinkedIn and my Twitter and my email address as well. So I'm going to try to cover a couple of these things as we go forward. I don't think I will spend so much time introducing myself again. I think Imran has done a very fantastic job about that. So I won't want to spend so much time there, but we'll go through the background, leadership, some statistics about women as well, because that's what we're here for, and leadership skills, the way forward, and some conclusions. So that's me years ago. I think I was looking very young then. That was during the pandemic time. I can see Dr. Imran was laughing, but I always show that picture every time I have an event. Just reminds me because I lost a couple of people during the pandemic. So before I decided to move into academia, I used to be a pharmacist. So I was a pharmacist for a couple of years. And I always tell people I didn't like money too much. That was why I decided to make my life more conservative by becoming a professor. But of course, I moved, became an academic, do a lot, like Dr. Imran has already spoken about. I'm also an author as well, and I've written several books on leadership. I do a lot of leadership consultancy for the government and all that. But more importantly, I think one of the things I really like is I have an NGO that tries to support leadership as well. I try to, because I strongly believe that we need to raise the next generation of leaders. Leadership starts with the young. And to me, that's all about trying to empower people. So I always try to give back. So that's me in a nutshell. But what do we know about leadership? And that's why I'm so happy that we spoke about this. And you can see that I was happy when Professor Azim was talking, and I could see he was talking so passionately about what he was trying to do. Everybody had the different ways we're looking at it. But I always say that, especially in the 21st century, we need to know more about leadership. Leadership is very important. And it's something that we see it everywhere. We see it in every part of life. We see it even in the animal kingdom as well. Everybody wants a leader. Okay, let me even ask, who is the leader of the animal kingdom? Anybody? Who would answer my question? Who leads the animal kingdom? Okay, I think Stadia.
Line, sir.
The lion. I hope you don't watch so much Lion King because I think there's a recent one about Mufasa and Simba. So I hope it's not the Disney World that says that. But either way, many times people say the lion. Some people, if I ask somebody else might say the humans because they believe that the humans are higher animals. So it depends on where you fall. But I would want to agree with you, Sadia, that's likely the lions are the lead, that's why they're called the king of the jungle. But it's not because they're the strongest, but because they are the ones that are able to survive during the times of change. And as the lion that leads the pride, that is the kind of leader many people want to be. But beyond looking at the animal kingdom, in every sphere of life, we have leaders. We have leaders in the military, we have leaders in religion, we have leaders in nations and countries and states, we have leaders in education, we have leaders in businesses. We all crave for leadership. It is there. Go to Google and you type the word leadership, you will see over 5 million hits. Everybody wants to know about leadership and it's seen in every part of life. But I always say that although leadership is the most observed, yet is the least understood phenomenon on earth. Most of the crises that you see is due to ineffective leadership. Most of the things that happen in the world today because of the leaders are not doing the right thing. So we need to enable people to know what leadership is all about. And that's why I'm happy with what Dr. Imran is running at the moment, because we're trying to put in the forefront how people should think about leadership, how leadership should affect every sphere of life. But before we can talk about leadership, I always say, what does leadership mean? Because you can't understand what leadership is, and you can't understand what is expected from the women or from the men if you don't know what leadership means. What does leadership mean in the world? How do we view leadership? What does it really mean to you? So anybody, maybe somebody, just one or two people, because I know we don't have so much time. What does leadership mean? If I was going to tell you, okay, yes, define leadership. If I was going to cite you my next book, what will you say leadership is? What does leadership really mean to you? Now, people are shy.
They are shy. Some of our students definitely here who are very interested in this topic, please.
Okay, yeah. So what does leadership mean?
Some of the questions that I've been sent, yeah, please.
Okay, so I can see the chat. Okay, great white shark. Okay, people who lead and protect others. I didn't even look at the comments. So anybody that wants to speak out, what does leadership mean?
Sadia, please speak.
Yes, sir. Sir, maybe I'm wrong because you are very honorable in front of me, sir. I think so. According to me, the leader is one who only uh, thinks about himself, who must have the full power related to the society, related to the circumstances where he is, but he also thinks about the whole community which is related to him.
Hey, I like that. So
Survival of the fittest, sir. He must survive first. He would be the most powerful person, and using that power to, what I have to say, to give opportunities to the others, to take others with the flow.
okay, I like what you're saying, to take others with the flow. Okay, the leader must be the most powerful person. Okay, don't worry, we'll talk about that later. But as you can see, you're carrying other people along. Great. And Shamras, do you want to say anything?
Shamriz,
Your,
are you there?
your hands are up.
He's
Okay.
there. I think maybe an internet
Well,
issue.
I think it's a connection. But I like what Sadia said. And I'm sure if we had all the time and we talk about it, a lot of you are not you're going to come up with different definitions on how you view leadership. But
Okay,
what am I saying?
sorry, Professor, he's got a microphone issue.
Okay, okay, no problem, no problem.
Question is, I think there's another question which has just come in. It says, uh, and I think the question is just basically asked you, there's something to the fact that leadership is an internal quality which everybody may not possess. So everybody, I think the idea is that everybody is not a leader. Some people are born to be leaders and others are not. Your perspective on that, please.
Oh, I think we're going to talk about that, isn't it? That's another conversation about the debate of nature and nurture. But either way, if I was going to answer that question, but I might wait until the end, I'm a proponent of the fact that people can learn leadership. And that's why we are doing this talk today, because I'm trying to tell you that you can be a leader. Because if not, then you're wasting your time coming here because you can't be a leader in the first place. But we'll talk about that, because the truth is, if leaders are born and not made, then even everything that we have done today, you can't change who you are. You can't change the way you view things. So leadership is about doing, and it's not about being. It's about what you can do as a leader. But either way, for me, it's important that we know how to conceptualize leadership. And over time, a lot of my colleagues and scholars have tried to look at leadership in different ways. I like the definition by Peter Drucker that says that a leader must have followers. And if you don't have followers, you're not a leader. So that's why sometimes when people say that the leader must be the person with the authority, not really. The leader is the person that has the influence. So I always say is the person that's able to influence other people. The leader is the one that's able to get people to do things. So that's why I always say that leadership is just one word, and that is influence. If you're able to influence others, then you will be a leader. Then the question for us today is, how can we influence people? What do we need to do to change the narrative? What do we need to do to empower women? What do we need to do to lead? So that's important. But we need to understand that leadership is about influencing others. And that's why I say leadership is influence. But now going back to the most important thing today is about women. And I'm happy that the previous amazing speakers have tried to provide so much information about women. And today is about trying to see how we can support women, how we can provide, empower women in the first place. But we need to look at the statistics that are there. Looking at it from two contexts, because I know we don't have so much time, but I provided even more information. I like what Professor Naid said when she said that she was the only woman going to talk here today. And I loved when Dr. Imran said, no, we invited many women. So we have all been in that space, isn't it? So as you can see, it is always like that. The women are never they never have the equal number in the room. And why is it so? As of 2024, we had like 26.5% national parliamentarians worldwide that are women. So you have like, that would be like 70-something% that are men. 15 countries in the world. We have so many countries. Only 15 countries have head of states are women. Some countries have never had a head of state as a woman, the likes of America. Some countries will never have with the way things are going. Looking at corporate leadership, we have just 10.4% as female CEOs out of 500 companies. Is it that women are not strong enough? Is it that women are not bright enough? Is it that we don't have the likes of Professor Naid and others to take up those roles? It's sad. It's glaring. We need to do more. Now, of course, as somebody that has within higher education, so I have to provide some information about the higher education sector, because that's where I talk really. Then within higher education itself, out of 18,000 professors, only 350 are Black female professors at the moment. Out of 18,000. So this is even worse for those from the global majority. It's even there. And it just means that Black women are 2% of the professoriate in higher education. That's for Black women, not even for women. So when we start talking about intersectionality, that's another conversation. You can see that just being a woman is a problem. Now, being a woman of color even becomes even worse as well. So it's worse for women. So that's why this is so important. What can we do? What do we need to do to change this narrative? How can we change this? Because this is not the right way to go. These are a couple of women. So we have women that are doing well, isn't it? There's some women that are doing well. There's women that are flying. So women can be successful. We have the first one there, the one on orange. Her name is Chimamanda. I would have asked people, but she's a renowned novelist, won a lot of Booker Prizes. Hillary Clinton, we all know her as well. America was not ready for a white president or a white female president, either way. And we saw with Kamala that she couldn't make it as well. The WTO Director General, we recently gave her a doctorate in Bolton. She came to get her doctorate from us. That's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. The next lady there, you know her, Jacinda, the New Zealand Prime Minister. One of the, I think, based on research, was one of the people that handled the pandemic very well, according to a lot of people. A lot of articles were written about her. The lady in the middle as well, her name is Ellen Johnson, the first female African president in the world from Liberia. Then we have Simone Biles. We all know her, the world-renowned gymnast, the one with the highest number of medals. So we have leaders, and they are women, they're not men. But either way, going into that, so what do we need to do? But before we even talk about that, for us to lead and for us to be effective leaders, I always say that we need to know the skills required. Okay? We need to know the skills required for us to be able to get to the next level. What are those skills that you need to have in order for you to be an effective 21st century leader? I would have asked, I know I don't have so much time, so I'll try to go through quickly. I built a taxonomy a couple of years ago, and I've always said that these are the core skills that people should have. And surprisingly, many of these skills are usually, we call them they're more feminine than masculine. Interpersonal skills, empathy. Empathy is important. You need to be empathetic. You need to be compassionate. Of course, many of us, those days when we were born, we always ran to our mothers, not our fathers, because our fathers were the strong ones, while our mothers were the ones that were nice. You can see that empathy is almost more of a feminine kind of trait, if I'm to use that word. Communication and listening. We need leaders that listen. We need leaders that are able to communicate. This is not just for women, but it's for everybody. You want people that listen to you, that are able to talk, people that are able to motivate. Motivation is key in leadership. Like I said, leadership is about influencing people. So you need to do that. You need people that can build teams. Because at the end, leadership is a team sport. You can't do it on your own. You need others to help you. And in the 21st century, that's why women can't be isolated, because we all have to work as a team. People management is important. You need to develop people. You need to manage people. And that's why I'm happy when people are talking about, oh, this person is my mentor, or this person is not my mentor. It means that you're all working together. But self-management is important as well. You need to be able to manage yourself. Because at the end, if you don't understand yourself, how can you understand other people? As a leader, self-awareness is key. Conceptual skills are important. You need to be able to analyze. You need to be able to generate great ideas. Idea generation is key. If you're going to be able to lead in the 21st century, then you need to generate ideas. But more importantly for me, I always say that leaders have to be problem solvers. Because at the end, if you want to lead, you need to solve problems. Many of those people that I highlighted initially, they've all solved problems. People are only going to follow you if you're going to solve problems. As a leader, you need to have a vision. Because at the end, if you don't have a vision, people are not going to follow you. You need to have a dream. You need to dream clearly. But if you don't dream, or if you dream and you don't have a plan, you just become a daydreamer. So it's very important that we have a plan going forward. But of course, you need to be decisive as well. As leaders, being decisive is key. Nobody wants to have a leader that's going to ask, oh, Imran, what do you think today? Or Mohammed, what are you thinking? I don't know what to do. No, you want somebody that is going to be decisive, somebody that's going to be there to to tell you, yes. And that's why I think it was Sadia, when Sadia was defining leadership, like somebody that's almost, yes, that's going to lead from the front. Not the people that we have at the moment. The leaders that we have at the moment, they lead from the back. We need people that are able to lead from the front. Then you need technical expertise, ideally. You need to be good at what you do. You need to understand business. And I always say you need to be entrepreneurial, identify opportunities, exploit them, and also manage risk. So these skills are important. They're really important, especially looking at the 21st century. Like I've said, most of these skills are more aligned to even women, because based on research, we always say that most of the masculine skills, assertiveness and all that, of course, we are all men. But what do we need to do? What can we do in order for us to ensure that we support women going forward? How do we empower women? I would say mentoring is very important. We need to mentor them. Opportunities has to be there. Thank God we have people like I'm always using Professor Naid because she's the lady that is here. So I'll continue to use her. But of course, there are so many examples of women that are doing well. So we need to provide opportunities for women to be successful. Formal mentoring opportunities, informal mentoring opportunities, where women, young ladies, can work with people. And most of the time, those opportunities might not be there. So it becomes important for us to do that. But more importantly, if you want to know about leadership, then you need to develop them as well. So leadership training opportunities are important. They need, right from the time that they are young, you need them to go to school. It's sad when we were talking about school being banned in some areas, and most of you said it already. That's not acceptable. Education should be available for everybody. And in this case, leadership, those programs that will support them is very important. For me, it's not just one person's work, it's everybody's work. We need to be allies. We need to, for us to support them, we need to work together. Empowering leadership and empowering people is a collective endeavor. And that's why I'm happy. I'm not from Pakistan, I'm not from Afghanistan, I'm Nigerian, but I'm an ally. And I strongly believe that we need to change the narrative. So we all need to work together. You all need to work together to ensure and say yes, and call out what is right and what is wrong. We need to empower people. And the only way we can change the narrative is to ensure that we all work together to empower the ladies, but also empower ourselves. So we need allies. But the more allies we have, the better we can change the narrative. But I always tell the ladies as well, although fortunately we don't have so many of them. We have FACBA here, so we have ladies here as well. So I'm wrong. A couple of women here, apart from Professor Naid, we have other women here as well. But I always say, don't die until you're dead. Because at the end, leadership is a personal journey. We're going to try our best to do what we can do, but you need to also persevere. You need to stand up. You need to stand for what is right. You need to take charge. You need to create the table. When the table has not been created for you, make your own table. Because that is the way that you'll be able to succeed. I'm sure if I give a lot of people the opportunity to talk about what they have gone through, they will tell you how it was difficult for them to reach where they have reached today. But they did it by taking charge. But I always tell people, I was in an event recently, I was giving one of the speeches there, and it was about inclusion. And I was saying that when women finally get to those positions, make sure you remember other women. Because at the end, it's always a big issue. Some people get there and they forget about other people. More women's success will open the doors for other people to be successful. So don't be afraid to help others when you get there, because you have gotten there. So we need to celebrate those people. And when they get there, it is your role to ensure that you support others to get to the level that and they don't need to go through the same challenges that you went through. You need to be there to support them so they can attain those heights that you are unable to get. And more importantly for me, this is why I'm so happy with what's happening here today. And no matter what we say, we need to be advocates for policy change. Many of the things that you've all mentioned really has to change. And that's why, as an academic, as a scholar, as somebody that is involved in policies, the things we say would matter. So we should not be afraid to be advocates for policy change. Women should go to school. Women should be supported. These things are important. We need more leaders. We need to provide opportunities for women to lead as well. So we need to be the voice for change. And that's why this forum is important, because we are advocating for educational policy change and research. And in conclusion, for me, the 21st century belongs to empowered leaders. That's important. And empowered women will be at the forefront. That's the truth. So they can't not just shaping the future, but they create the future. Of course, the normal thing is that women create life, isn't it? But in that same way, not just creating life, but they're also going to create the future that we need. So the 21st century, we're going to need more women that won't just shape the future, but it has to be created based on their platform as well. So, and that's all for me. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Harrison. I was almost going to apologize to you for leaving you last in terms of speaking, but realistically, you've provided the perfect concluding speech statement, which summarizes really the work that everybody else has been doing beforehand. So what you are speaking about effectively is this notion of taking on yourself, this notion of responsible, becoming responsible, and then becoming accountable for what you're doing. And this is really what leadership is about. And it's not confined to the few, but it's actually something which is a pathway open to all of us. But it's a decision that we have to take and a journey we have to go upon. And the last thing I'll say, really, Professor Harrison, what you mentioned there really struck a high chord with me, was this notion of taking people along with yourselves, because we keep hearing this time and time again. Professor Harrison is somebody who's taken people like us along on the journey with himself. So he's in a leadership position, but he's also allowed us to share in that platform. And actually, he's a great example of that work. And a lot of our teachers and professors here today, honorable guests, actually are of the same ilk, where for them leadership only becomes complete when those following are able to eventually take those positions for themselves because they've been developed and given the opportunity. So thank you very much, Professor Christian Harrison, for that wonderful concluding statement. I think it summarizes our seminar wonderfully.